Are you constantly plagued with feelings of persistent anger or sadness, sluggish thinking, or constant fatigue? Maybe these are the signs that you are operating in a low vibrational energy and you might need to raise your frequency. Well, I am here to show you what factors could be influencing your low energy and what you can do to optimize or raise your vibration. So, what do you need and why do you need to raise your energy levels or your vibration? Well, it is said a lot of times that people do as like to be around you because of your vibes. So if you have a low vibrational energy, you tend to throw off a lot of people who are actually vibing at a higher level, which is the opposite of what I discussed, which is joy, happiness, and a deep level of peace, right? So you don't want to be vibrating at a low frequency. So, the higher your frequency of your energy or vibration, the lighter you feel in your physical, emotional, and mental bodies. So, you do tend to be easily dealt with, deal, you do tend to easily deal with your emotions that you are going through if your vibrational energy is higher, because you won't be going through rage and anger, and with those emotion absent, you do tend to think with more and better or greater clarity. So, one factor that could be contributing to your low vibration, and I probably will make this into a series, so stay tuned for part two after this. Okay, so it could be your diet. Maybe you need to change your diet. So, the food that you are eating, right? We live in a society now where there is so much processed food consumption, and a lot of our processed foods are filled with food additives, food dyes, food colors, and some names with some list of food additives that we can't even pronounce. So, um, contrary to the fact that a lot of people don't want to admit this, but it is wreaking havoc on our bodies, because a lot of these food additives are not safe for human consumption. And if we are getting up every day eating unalived foods, because if the food went through a process, then that means it lacks the innate natural live and electrical energy that the creator created it with. So if we are not constantly getting those live foods with the live electrical charges, then we are getting dead foods with no charges, and it is not revitalizing our bodies, it is not powering up our cells. And then someone once said processed foods um, make way for processed people. So if you are not eating live foods with live electrical charge energies, then you are eating dead foods, and you therefore are a processed human being. And you don't want to be a processed human being. You want to be a live human being. And so you will have to eat the foods that represent that, right? So you'll have to uptake in a lot of fruits, vegetables, live fruits and vegetables. It would be best to make friends with farmers, right? And stop eating foods from the can, because the more the food goes through a process, is the more the energy or the live energy inside of it is depleted. So fresh from the ground, fresh from the tree, fruits and vegetables as much as possible into your diet, and limit or totally cut out processed foods, especially foods that are high in food additives, dyes, and a lot of the names that you and I both cannot even pronounce. Come on, let me tell you about those long words and you scientific names that we have to be um sitting down and scratching our heads just to call those names. So we have to avoid them for our best health and to raise our energy frequency and vibrational levels. So, couple of the foods that are processed, they might contain a lot of food additives, and one of the major culprits is food dye, red food dye. So red food dye is one of the most popular food additives, and foods that come in a package are processed and always contain food dyes like red food dye. Is the best one to, well, it is best when reading the food labels to look out for its other alternative names, because it doesn't just have one name, and it comes under the name of Red 40. It is also called Red 40 Lake, FD and C Red number 40, FD and C Red number 40 Aluminum Lake. And it is important to be aware of these things that we are putting into our bodies, and really overspec the food ingredients and the food labels that these things or products are being labeled with. So it's hard to determine the exact cause of certain side effects, as red dye is typically used in conjunction with other food additives that may also lead to the symptoms such as hyperactivity, including ADHD, behavioral changes like irritability and depression, allergic reaction, hives and asthma, sneezing, watery eyes, skin irritation, and migraines. Red dye 40 contains benzene, a known cancer-causing substance. Can you imagine you're getting up every day eating these, I don't know, cabbage fried chips, and because it has like a red unnatural coloring to it, you feel like you're getting all these nice nutrients, but in truth and in fact, the red dye is actually causing cancer or feeding cancer cells every time you are eating these so-called healthy things that is not that have gone through processes, and frankly some of them are not from the earth because most of them are made in laboratories. So the disadvantages of food additives, although they have their benefits, and food additives, they do have their benefits because they increase the shelf life of the food. But the shelf life of the food originally in nature was created so that we would know when the food went bad. So if you increase that shelf life by adding more additives, then you are in truth and in fact disguising the fact that the food has gone bad, and that still would be a bad thing, wouldn't it? So there is also disadvantages to food additives and preservatives. As we explain later on, artificial additives contain chemicals that have been linked to both acute and chronic diseases like diabetes, obesity, digestive disorders, and asthma. And now a lot of you are wondering why all of a sudden your parents didn't mention about celiac back in the 90s. Now all of a sudden you're complaining about celiac and digestive issues. No wonder. So using food additives and preservatives can also reduce the nutritional value of some types of food. As a result, the foods then need to be fortified with nutrients, which means adding more chemicals during the manufacturing process. So if you're going to add more chemicals during the manufacturing process, it therefore means that a significant amount of the nutrients was lost during the processing of the food. Wouldn't it have therefore been better to just eat the food naturally, if it's going to go through all of that and lose all of the natural, nature-born benefits that God has intended it for it to have to begin with? So consider the disadvantages to your spiritual health, your physical health, and your